You must watch this. Have to watch this. Stop following your heroes. They are your digital prison guards. They are keeping you corralled in little echo chambers, accomplishing nothing other than taking your money. They are thieves.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free.
Maria Z is on here as well. She's an Australian journalist in America.
I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people, whom we serve as representatives here in Congress, demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein files, but the real fight will happen after that.
Hi, Steve here. What if the greatest evils aren't committed by a few bad people, but by a system hiding in plain sight? A machine of incentives so perfectly designed it grinds people to dust, while its architects remain untouchable. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain to expose this machine. And once you see it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. To understand this, we need a key: modern slavery. We think of it as history, but more people are trapped in slavery today than at any point in human history. Really. The International Labor Organization reports that 50 million people were living in modern slavery in 2021. Let that number sink in. 50 million. This isn't a distant problem. It's a global machine of human misery, generating an estimated $236 billion in illegal profits every year. So why don't we see it? Because the system is designed to be invisible. But the most chilling part is institutional failure. A UN report revealed that 2 out of every 5 countries surveyed had not recorded a single conviction for human trafficking. In many nations, an industry making billions off of human suffering operates with total impunity. This is our key: a massive, profitable, invisible crime enabled by the very institutions meant to stop it. With this key, you'll start to see the same pattern everywhere. Governments shield and hide the criminals. You see it in high finance, where the architects of economic ruin get rewarded with bonuses, while the public pays the price. Responsibility is so diffused it becomes a crime without any criminals. You see it in our own history, where brilliant leaders who wrote about freedom were blind to the evils of their own time, because that evil was woven into the fabric of their economy and normalized. It makes you ask an unsettling question. What normalized evils are we blind to right now? The true evil hiding in plain sight is the system itself, and it stays hidden for 3 main reasons. First, its sheer scale makes it background noise. 50 million people enslaved is a number too big to process, so it becomes an abstract statistic. Second, it's deliberately complex. When a financial system crashes, responsibility is so spread out that no one is ever truly held accountable. The machine protects its own parts. And third, institutional complicity. The system survives because the institutions with the power to stop it either don't have the will or simply choose not to see. The machine of systemic evil grinds on, fueled by our distraction and our confusion.
I keep hearing about all of the wins that we're having against these people that are trying to destroy us, but in every single country things are accelerating, including here in the United States. And there are so many things that are heating up all over the world. Every single country is going in this direction of digital ID, and let me tell you that once digital ID is in place, ladies and gentlemen, then every single other battle basically is lost. I'm not saying that we can't fight past that point, but I am saying that digital ID steals your free speech or your ability to think freely, move freely, speak freely. And so this, to me, is the number one battle in this country right now. The masses who are starting to wake up to the control systems seem to have lost sight of what this end game really is.
The big story this evening is, of course, that Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning from Congress effective January 6, 2025. Now, it's no secret that MTG was facing massive pressure from AIPAC and, of course, other Jewish pressure groups over her criticisms of Israeli influence over American politics. She authored a bill demanding that AIPAC register as a foreign agent, kind of like President Kennedy was looking to do, just before he was assassinated in broad daylight, had his brains blown out on international television in front of his citizenry. Because that is the cardinal sin. This is the cardinal sin of American politics. If you poke your neck out there and say, hey, maybe Israeli billionaires shouldn't be buying up 90% of Congress, well, then you're taking your life into your hands. And it goes without saying that you're taking your political career into your hands at the very same time. Just look at Cynthia McKinney living in exile in Bangladesh. If you start barking up the AIPAC tree, the tree that these foreign agents and traitors should hang from, then you're directly threatening Israel's ability to manipulate American policy without transparency. And if you combine MTG highlighting that along with her push to release the Epstein files, which was consistently blocked by Jewish lawmakers and Jewish political donors, because these files undoubtedly contain evidence of Israeli blackmail operations that target corporate executives and power players in our country's systems of banking and finance and academia, and of course high-ranking American government officials going all the way up to the Oval Office, the highest rank of them all, or so we're told. When we're kids going through brainwashing sessions in public schools somewhere, and then we grow up and we realize the president is fake. Just another actor, just another figurehead, another compromised pedophile who does what the Jew tells him to do. And it's obvious to anybody with a room temperature IQ that Trump is significantly implicated in these Epstein files, likely on video in the so-called Epstein tapes that Pam Bondi's DOJ has repeatedly promised it would release to the public. Let's not forget, this was one of the critical campaign promises that Trump has always made, to the extent that pedophilia was often mentioned in the CIA-authored Q drops that are responsible for signaling to the American people to just sit down and shut up, trust the plan. And speaking of the plan, did you see this? These Q drops that you have to be mentally stagnated to believe are real, Donald Trump himself is now posting QAnon goy slop online. This is how bad it's gotten. As his base has abandoned him, Trump has had to reach out to legit idiots to maintain some semblance of support among the citizenry. Because the truth is, outside of Jews and cucks and Q-tards, the only people supporting Trump are private equity oligarchs and Israelis who, by the way, are both Jews. The charade is up. Okay, the gig is up. We all know it. We see it clear as day. Thomas Massey knows it. Marjorie Taylor Greene knows it. And that's why in her resignation address to the people of Georgia's 14th congressional district and all of America, Marjorie made it very clear, very, very clear that nobody is coming to save America. There is no plan. And she offered up this written statement on...
Is that right, Billy? I've admitted this before, but I'll admit it again. I was heading down the Q-Tard Road for a while, for a hot minute or 5. I got off and on the train a couple of times. And then it just got to a point I was thinking, man, the amount of mental gymnastics that I have to do for this to even remotely make any sense. And then one day I thought about, remember them Choose Your Own Adventure books? Imagine if they wrote one, or AI. Imagine if Elon Musk and ChatGPT wrote one, which would probably be now with Grok, that has no end to it, and it updates based on statistics so that it doesn't have anybody active that's dead now. Somebody dies, okay. It's a choose your own adventure with no end. I don't think there's a person behind Q at all, other than a bunch of tech nerds who are laughing their head off at everybody playing 21st century Dungeons and Dragons. I was making them a lot of money. Isn't it, Derek Johnson?
On her resignation, we're going to go through a lot of these points that she made, because when it comes down to it, this might be one of the more important political documents of my lifetime. This is a letter from a member of Congress, a woman who's been described as a populist, a nationalist, a MAGA extremist.
Alcohol controlled me for over 20 years. If your wife's crying because you're not looking after yourself or she doesn't think you...
And now she's telling us that the man that she devoted so many years of her life to, Donald Trump, is a fraud. And not just that, but that our entire political system is a fraud. Marjorie Taylor Greene was an ordinary person, a rich one, albeit, a business owner from North Georgia. And she made it all the way to D.C. So for years, she was able to see the system from the inside out. And when she did, she came to the stark realization that I have come to, that I have been telling you here for years, and that is, we're not voting our way out of this. And that our country has been set upon by a small but powerful group of subversives who are weaponizing the creations of our own people against us. A bunch of foreigners and subversives that are loyal to a foreign nation, and they have taken the revolutionary system of government that our ancestors created, and they have turned it against us. And Marjorie Taylor Greene knows this, and she made that very clear in her written statement, really from the moment that it first began. She wrote that, quote, Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties election cycle after election cycle in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more, and the results are always the same. End quote. The results are always the same. Let's just think about that for a minute. Let that sink in. No matter who you vote for, you're getting the same person. And why is that? Well, because both parties are funded by the very same Jews. It is what it is, okay? Both parties are funded by people like Miriam Adelson, John Paulson, Reid Hoffman, Paul Singer, the list goes on. And when they get installed as a member of Congress, their main job, outside of bringing home the bacon for Israel...
I just want to have a second look at somebody. That's probably that.
Miriam Adelson.
Every time I look at her, I see Yoko Ono. I don't know why. I see Yoko Ono for some reason. Oh, that's a lovely view, Panda. Get out of that.
John Paulson, Reid Hoffman, Paul Singer, the list goes on. And when they get installed as a member of Congress, their main job, outside of bringing home the bacon for Israel and using American lives to wage never-ending Jewish wars, is making sure that nothing that the American people actually want accomplished ever happens. And MTG mentioned this in her statement as well, writing that, quote, "My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans, only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the United States, making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your home or eliminating H-1B visas, just sit collecting dust." That's how it is for most members of Congress's bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. End quote. And the Speaker never brings them to the floor because the Speaker isn't supposed to bring them to the floor. He's supposed to call votes when the donor class says so, when his foreign puppeteers tell him to, and nothing more. Everything else is a charade. And that's exactly what MTG is saying in her statement. Donald Trump was elected on what millions of Americans believed was a populist America First platform, and then the rug was pulled. Everything that we were told that Trump would do, and I knew this, the entirety of the so-called Trump agenda was fake. It was propaganda. And for a long time, our people were convinced that it was real, but not anymore. MTG mentioned that as well, writing, quote, "Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media, obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political talking points." End quote. She's right. And she's highlighting an issue that I have been addressing here since the campaign season began. I addressed it all the way up to the night that Donald Trump's so-called election in November of last year was held. He's not calling the shots. He's a slave to AIPAC. He's a slave to Jewish billionaires. He's their power bottom. And he's making sure that America as a nation is also a power bottom because Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, is bending over the barrel and taking it up the ass from these Jews, and he's letting our country be raped, just like those girls on Epstein Island. Because when you're on video blowing some dude called Bubba, you're not in control. You're compromised, and you will do what your masters say, or they will release the tapes. They will release the photographs. Like this one, which Grok claims is not made by artificial intelligence. Nobody has debunked that photograph. So think about that. The next time you're asking yourself, why would Trump ever pull the rug on the American people? Well, because that's what he was always supposed to do. Lull patriotic Americans to sleep, keep our eyes off of the prize while extreme damage is done behind the scenes. And now it's being done right out in the wide open. They don't care anymore. I can see it, Massey can see it, MTG can see it, and just like she mentioned, the American people can see it. We can all see it. Trump isn't calling the shots. He never was. He's a slave to AIPAC and to the Jewish billionaires who propelled him into office. Miriam Adelson, those that I just mentioned, and a whole lot more, no matter which side of the fake aisle these political donors claim to be on, they're all on the same team, just like the politicians themselves. They're pumping money into a system to control the outcomes. They pump the money into campaigns accordingly, and even losing campaigns, if the designated loser needs to make a big run at it, they'll give them millions of dollars only to watch them lose because they gave the other guy more money, but they win either way. These people pump limitless funds into political campaigns as the American people go without. They buy elections, they install fake politicians and pedophiles into our government, and then they use the Israeli-owned and operated American media apparatus to convince the people of our country that some sort of a democratic political process has taken place, that we've just chosen a leader to save us from the very machine that put that leader there in the first place to carry out the Israel First agenda that MTG was confronting. And of course, in all of this, MTG has been joined by Thomas Massey in highlighting the disgusting presence of Jewish dual loyalty in Congress, where Jewish politicians and Jewish-owned politicians put Israel's interests before the interests of the American people. And so, of course, MTG, just like Thomas Massey, was dubbed an anti-Semite. She refused to support unconditional aid to Israel, and her questioning of the Israeli government's actions in Gaza alienated her from the key Jewish donors that control our country's political cast of characters, the very same Jewish donors that Charlie Kirk was turning against and warning us about. And that led to his death. I mentioned JFK earlier. We all know what happened to him. We all know what happened to Charlie Kirk for taking on the very same people that MTG is now taking on. Now look, when all of this is said and done, and before I continue, I just want to make something very clear here. It's no secret that I called out MTG at AFPAC 3, not behind her back, but right to her face. I called her Marjorie Faker Green. She sat there on the front row. But my opinions of MTG have changed over the years in direct correlation to how her behavior has changed. She had to go through all of this herself. She had to see how DC operates, and once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. She couldn't remain silent. She decided that she wouldn't sell her country and her people down the river to hell in exchange for a few shekels and the promise of celebrity status in the fake system that gets propped up by a lying cast of media mouthpieces on major broadcast and cable news channels. The same Jewish-controlled media outlets and social platforms that launched smear campaigns against MTG, accusing her of being an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist, a term that's been weaponized against truth seekers to shut them up and shut them down and kick them out of polite society, because they don't want you to know what's really going on. They don't want you to know how bad things have gotten. They want you to watch TV and go to work and eat fast food. Get fat, get lazy, never push back. And that's what we're supposed to do, but we're not going to do that because the only people that can save us are ourselves. MTG told us exactly that in her farewell statement as well. She wrote that, quote, "There is no plan to save the world or insane 4D chess game being played. And the common American people finally realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machines from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. I'll be resigning from Congress with my last day being January 5th, 2026. End quote. That about sums it all up, doesn't it? There is no plan to save the world. There is, however, a plan to destroy it, and that plan is being carried out right now as we speak in Washington, D.C. by both sides of this country's fake political aisle. The Democrat Party is fake. The Republican Party is even more fake and gay. The whole system is fake. The idea that a Democrat in your congressional district is running against or arguing with their Republican counterpart is laughable. They're all owned by the same people that own Trump, along with our country's central bank, our online social media platforms, our news and entertainment networks, so-called influencers, Hollywood, the music industry, NGOs, real estate, construction, the education system, and of course, private equity. Every one of these people, from elected officials to their family members to NGOs, so-called activists and foreign dignitaries, they're all connected and they're all murderers. And not just murderers, they're child traffickers, they're pedophiles. That's who runs our political system. Our country is ruled over by compromised perverts who are on tape raping kids on Epstein Island. You know, we brought to the attention of many of you here lately the existence of this vast network of orphanages in countries like Romania, where Erica Kirk and Tyler Boyer love to hang out. And speaking of Epstein, just a stone's throw away from Erica's Romanian Angels facility is Transnistria, a tiny self-proclaimed country populated by ethnic Romanians, where Jeffrey Epstein's brother Mark is also tied to the orphanage industry.
The human cost is staggering, from the millions trapped in modern slavery to the families shattered by economic systems designed to fail them. This isn't a conspiracy theory. These are the documented patterns of power. What other hidden systems do you see operating in the world? Let me know in the comments. Acknowledging the pattern is the first step. The poet Charles Baudelaire said, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. But part of the devil's blindness over the people who are lost in his world is his system. A powerful system, a machine. And once you see it, you can't unsee it." Think about it.
Ricardo Mosey. He's one over here. He's one from over here. Heaps of people following this gronk. I did for a while. He had me sucked in. Writes a book. Probably AI. The library wouldn't order it in. I asked the library to order it in. He tells everyone to go to the library and read his book. Get his book out at the library. The libraries don't stock your book, mate. They won't stock your book. They wouldn't even order it in. I asked them to. This bloke here. This will be interesting. I haven't seen this. Hang on. Some sound will be good.
Got into a serious debate. They got their asses handed to them. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sick of these white nationalists going after Rukshan on Twitter saying he's not white enough to be an Australian or some crap. So I decided to dig up an old video, and this is why I don't take them very seriously. This old video is of Ricardo Bossi laying the floor with them in a debate on culture versus race and which one dictates what people are like. And check this out. This is back from when Ricardo was quite reasonable, actually, in July 4th, 2020. It's hilarious. Check it out.
And what's your immigration policy then?
The immigration is easy. The centre of a nation is its culture. That's it. It's its culture. I don't care whether you're black, white or brindle. I couldn't give a rat's. It makes no difference. It's only the Labor left Greens that have this obsession with skin colour. The rest of us don't. Put me in the sun for more than a week. I'm blacker than Ace of Spades. But I can tell you this.
Don't you think culture is race, essentially? Like a culture...
No, you break it... No, please, no.
But
break it down
into
into constituent...
Yes.
Break it down into...
Culture is basically... it comes from your race. Like, you don't have Africans making European culture. You don't have Europeans making African culture.
What's the centre of culture?
Our culture...
What's at the centre of culture? What's a constituent part? Because if you've got... Culture is informed by geography, because if you've got water, that informs your culture. If you don't have water, it informs your culture. So there's geography as part number one. Then you've got language, because language informs your brain, literally the neural nets. And that's why you've got certain languages which are so blunt and monolithic almost. The culture reflects that lack of subtlety. We have a language, English, for example, and this is just, I haven't got to the heart of culture yet, but you've got to, maybe you'll read the book.
English comes from the English people. Like, English doesn't come from the people.
If you work through all the contributing factors that make a culture, at the centre, at the very heart of every culture on this planet are its spiritual beliefs. And if you try to import beliefs that are inconsistent with the spiritual beliefs that are already there, it degrades. So you're exactly right. So again, it's not a colour issue and it's not an immigration issue, it's a cultural issue. You can bring in white people. I'll give you an example. Colour's got nothing to do with it. Tony Jones, ABC, Tony Jones. In my opinion, trash. I wouldn't import another Tony Jones at all. We don't need any more like him. I don't like the guy. I don't like the way he thinks. I don't like what he does. I've got some great friends. They're Ghanaians. They're Christians. Brilliant. It's not a colour issue. It's a culture issue, and at the centre of culture is religion. It's as simple as that. So
that's not true. Like, so this colour, it's a misdirection. What we're talking about here is blood. What we're talking about here is genes. What we're talking about is people who've descended from people who are like us for centuries. And this country, Australia, was federated.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay.
No. So this country was federated to.
Well, we're talking about two different things.
Dusty. Australia was federated to be a homeland for the white British subjects in Australia. That was the whole reason that we became a country. What we've had since World War II, we've had mass immigration, and we were never asked about it.
I'm having a blonde moment. We're talking about race versus culture. So skin colour versus what we believe. You can't change what you can't change. What you're born with, you're born with. And to analyse something for something they cannot change is just ignorant behaviour.
It's who we are.
To you are, mate. To change to
What do you
have
mean by
someone
that,
free,
Ricardo?
if you let me finish,
Please go.
you can't criticise someone for something they cannot change. You criticise somebody for something they can change and refuse to change. For example, if I think people with two nostrils are idiots, then I'm the idiot. But if I think someone who believes that you should beat up somebody because they believe a particular religion that doesn't harm you, for example,
Okay, but I'm not talking
there
about.
are
I'm not
religions
talking
that harm
about-
you.
Ricardo, I'm not talking about criticising
Of
anybody or
course.
beating up anybody.
It's,
What I'm talking about is being proud of who you are and being proud of your own countrymen, being proud of your people.
Listen, mate, my background's Italian, but I hear the school of a Scottish bagpipe and march the British Grenadiers. My God, I'm 2 inches taller and my back's ramrod straight. Seriously. I shouldn't be here according to your theory. Give me a break.
Now, obviously, with the white nationalists getting banned on Twitter left, right, and centre, I totally disagree with that. I think they should be allowed to speak. I think they should be able to actually get the word out as long as they're not inciting violence, which they're not. And so I see this situation with the white nationalists as the worst case scenario. We want to know what they think. We want to be able to debate them in the open. We want to be able to show that their ideas are wrong. But when big tech gets in the way and censors them, sorry, I'm against that. If the e-safety commissioner has been making requests to Twitter to ban them, she really ought not to. Because if you don't see what they're talking about, you can't debate them, you don't know how to debate them, and they're just going to pop up out of nowhere, and they're going to probably come up even more radicalized. And this is why we should be able to debate them. So anyway, what do you guys think in the description? Again, Ricardo, haven't played a video from him in a while, but the guy in more recent times has gone a little bit more crazy, telling people not to vote in referendums, for example, like the Voice referendum. But in this particular video, very right. He was very right. And this is why I don't take the white nationalist ideology serious at all. Because, just like Ricardo said, according to your theory, I shouldn't be here. And that's the truth.
Right. Now that fella there that was just talking, his name's Joel Jamal. And he's, I'm pretty sure, the leader of Turning Point Australia. Be very wary of Joel, because he's in cahoots with people like Pauline Hanson and Craig Kelly. And that's Ricardo Bosey, that bloke, the other bloke that was talking. Now, Ricardo Bosey, he's a Q fanatic, an absolute die-hard Q fanatic. Now, he, and I'll put this back up here. Yeah, I want to show you a few faces. Right, is that up there, right? Have a look at that, good enough. Right, now we've got David Graham. Guru. There's Ricardo and Guru there. Those two were mates for ages. Like, Ricardo burnt his bridge with the other fella that was just John, Joel Jamal. He burnt his bridge with David Graham. David Graham, well, he says he did. I don't believe he did. I believe they're still mates. Then you've got Carl Ibold with his Voice of Freedom show and these fellas. Right. Now you've got Carl Ibold. What's his name? Darren Bergworth. And this digital coin fella here. I tell you what, I'll do you a solid. And we'll enlarge it, shall we? There's Carl down Bergwerth, I can't remember his name. He's all over like digital wallets, blockchain, digital currencies. Now, he was supposed to be dead against digital currencies. He also went on tour around Australia with Ricardo Bosi. Down Bergwerth here, there's a bloke that started up the, what was it? What was it called? My Place, which was an alternative to council, which is something that I'd love to do, but he pushed it real hard and he tried to do it. He tried to do it in a way that was doomed to fail, and I know a lot of people put a lot of money into it. Now, I don't know if it's still running or not, but it's full of like fruitcake hippies and people who want to pray to crystals and all sorts of weirdo people. The over-organic people. They're so organic that I swear some of them think they can live on fresh air. We have those people. Then we have, now this one's a beauty. This bloke here, pirate lady, yeah, this fella here, he calls himself a pirate, or Como John. He's a self-confessed communist who was the head of the CFMEU before John Setka. He lives on a boat. Dave Graham lives on a catamaran. Carl Leibold has went from rags to riches, as they all did, after the Epic Park COVID rally. Now that's a lot of people. Look at that. It's a lot of people. They say it was around 2 million people all up over the time that it went for. Now, oh yeah, and Carl Leibold has an American V10, I do believe, V10 tour bus, fully set up as a mobile studio. All of them had nothing prior to this. A bunch of buckets of money went around, like buckets for donations. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of people. Let's enlarge one, will we? What's a good one to enlarge? I mean, it's insane. It is so many people. It is so many people. It is crazy. They reckon there were 2 million people. We might as well just enlarge that one, will we? Oh, look. That probably gives a pretty good idea there. Is that an epic? We'll protest it off. Oh, that's New York. That was a protest rally. They said 1,000, but they reckon there was about 2 million. Now, if there wasn't 2 million, they probably shouldn't have said there was 2 million. Now, I have been in contact with Malcolm Roberts many times, Liam from Malcolm Roberts' office, and I've even tried another office of Pauline Hanson's. I've spoke to multiple people about this. I've spoke to the Australian Electoral Commission because that's who they keep handballing me to. Nobody wants to investigate the fact that all those buckets of money went missing and they all started pointing the finger at one another. Wasn't me, it was him, wasn't me, it was him. They know where it went, and then they all started calling each other Freemasons. The buckets of money was never, and now you can't get them to talk about it, and they all still pretend to be enemies. I don't think they're enemies. And I think that money bought Carl Leibold's bus. Guru's catamaran was paid off with it. I think he already had that, but it would have been paid off. John Wilson's got a yacht that he lives on as well, a boat of some sort on an island with his abo mates. And even I don't know what sort of funding Joel Jamal gets from Turning Point Australia, which is a part of the franchise of Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk. Hello, Erica Kirk, all connected to the Jewish thing. But I'm pretty damn sure you'll find that they are sponsored. Now, none of these people will ask you for money. And there's probably about another 10 people or more, 10 to 15 people or more, all connected to a thing called Project Matilda. It's a Patreon thing, and I had Malcolm Roberts' office trying to tell me it doesn't exist, and I've actually been on there. I used to be hooked up with it, you see. Now, they started to get way too far into the Q-drop stuff. I'm like, geez, you got to do some mental gymnastics to get your head around this. It got to a point I'm like, this is just nuts. It's actually nuts. Like, white hats fighting black hats in tunnel wars in Tartaria against lizard people and aliens and chimeras. It just got to the point I'm like, this is just fucking retarded. I can't look at, because it actually pushed me off the wagon once. I'm not even kidding. It got to the point I'm like, this is sending me fucking mad. And then I got really angry once I detoxed from it, and I realised these people are pulling the old the FBI badge of honour reverse psychology on everyone. The police do it all the time. They'll keep thanking you for something. They'll get you to say one little thing once or do one little thing, and they will thank you like it was the greatest gift in the world, and they'll keep thanking you until you start wearing that like a badge of honour. And then it's like one question to start you and 100 requests to shut you up. Which the same goes with all sorts of psychological tricks. You don't ask people for money. You keep thanking them repeatedly for their donations, and then the ones that don't donate feel bad. It's the badge of shame. Oh, everyone's donating it. Oh, I'm not. I feel bad. And nearly got me with it. And I'm like, I'm immune to that shit. Yeah, like, there'd be old people. I can't get anyone to investigate it. They don't tell me that they're not all up to their necks in it, because no one will investigate it. No one, and they'll go quiet. No one will talk to you, and they'll handball you to somebody else. I'm like, there'd be old people, people with autism, vulnerable people, young people, single mothers, lots of those. You know, gullible people. They even got, like in America, they got Derek Johnson that wrote a book called Rattle Trap or something, and Ricardo Bosi wrote a chapter of it, or the preface to it or something. It was the preface in the last chapter, I think, something like that. Apparently, allegedly, I think it's probably another AI trick. I reckon they're just pulling shit out of AI. And this American group, what he calls the round table. Australia One Party's got a show and rumble, Australia One Party green room, and then there's the round tables and the sit rep, which is situation report, with a bloke that looks suspiciously like the bloke that invented I Am Carlos, or the magician, the con man. And they've got so-called evangelicals on there, and they pray and all sorts, and people, they're hooking people in all over the world, and people are pouring money into them. It's like watching Jimmy Swaggart or somebody, you know, them money preachers in America. What's the one with all the jets and all the shit? Yeah, I'll look him up. I can't remember his name. which is Telly Evangelical. That's him. Kenneth Coleman. That bloke. That fella there. But these guys, look at that shit, it's disgusting. Well, it's the same kind of business model. I think they're all Mormons. Luciferian Mormons. And Freemason, which is a front for Freemasonry. And they're praying to a very different God, and people think that they're praying to Jesus Christ. You see, you can still be at the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints, and it depends what you worship about Jesus at the top end of the hierarchy. They could be praying about his death, not his resurrection. You know? They could be worshipping him being crucified, not his resurrection. Whatever, but the fact of the matter is, and people are pouring money into these people. Pouring money into them. And they say they don't ask for money in every show. And there are people, it's the other Jedi mind trick. I've never had an email from them that wasn't them asking me for money. But however, I was in email conversation with one of their, with their Tasmanian branch by email, who got their nose out of joint because I wouldn't join up as a financial member. You know, we either want to save the country and or unless I signed up as a financial member, they would not put me into contact with Ricardo Bosey. So I got on his Green Show, and in the comments I asked a question, and they asked it. The question was, what do you know about Project 2025 and Agenda 47? Which are Donald Trump's manifestos that he's already admitted to, and I'd already seen it and I know it, and apparently Ricardo Bosey knows nothing about it, but yet, according to him, he's part of the whole white hat, black hat, Trump, MAGA, Q plus movement. Huh. So there you go, there's my rundown on part of the global network that's linking a lot of things to Australia. And Palantir's coming to Australia. It has now been confirmed. Peter Thiel will be bringing Palantir to Australia. Palantir is the digital network from which ICE is operating through in America. Which are Israeli Defence Force people. By the way, they've all been trained by Israeli Defence. They're all Krav Maga, fucking hot-headed violence mongers. They have no empathy or respect for human life whatsoever. And Pauline Hanson and Gina Reinhardt have been knocking about with these people, and you watch Clive Palmer jump on board. $100. I'm telling you, it's about time. About time you all started to pay some more attention, I think, guys. You're not paying attention. And when I say God bless, I mean God bless. We need Jesus looking over us right now.